Hey everybody, I hope that you had a restful Thanksgiving break and that you are ready to finish out the semester. So we're going to try to finish up Unit 4, Unit 4, before the semester. So before we get into talking about endangered animals, it's important for us to kind of continue our discussion on biodiversity and what causes biodiversity. So in biodiversity, we need to understand that it is primarily driven by evolution. Okay, so let's dust our brains off and kind of think back to biology when you guys were freshmen. And we know that it is all based in the DNA. So what specifically happens in the DNA to cause these evolutionary changes? Okay, so if we look at this picture right here, you guys know what these are. These are mutations. Now, you don't need to know the specific names of the different types of mutations, but you understand that mutations are changes in the DNA, and those changes can lead to the way organisms look, the way genes function, the way genes are expressed, and sometimes they just don't do anything at all. But if it is a significant change, it does drive evolution. This also occurs in sexual reproduction. Now, I don't know if you guys remember a lot about mitosis and meiosis. Okay? But in sexual reproduction, we have, obviously, an exchange of DNA, an exchange of genes. And this happens with this process right here. Do you guys remember what this is? This is crossing over. So when mom and dad's chromosomes get together, the chromosomes cross over and they basically exchange little pieces of DNA, and that's what causes a very specific and unique combination of DNA, which is what you are, this is what I am, this is what all animals and plants are in the world. So this allows what we call survival of the fittest. So some animals receive really great combinations of DNA and it allows them to survive better. So we're going to put right here oh no, I moved that. Let's move this out of the way. Let's move my face. Okay, so some individuals will be more fit than others. Now, this does not mean that they go to the gym and work out. Fit means that they're able to survive better, which means they're able to reproduce better. So it will be more fit than others. Okay? So if they are more fit, they will reproduce successfully. I don't think I spelled successfully right. But y'all know what I mean. So both of these lead to variation, which are different species. Now, one of the best examples and one of the coolest examples of this is this picture right here. So I don't know if you guys know this, but mustard, like the condiment mustard, the yellow stuff, comes from a seed, comes from a mustard seed. Okay, so the seed is ground up into a powder, and then vinegar and other spices are added to it to make vinegar. Okay, mustard is the predecessor to a lot of different vegetables that we eat. So basically what happened was Native Americans noticed that different parts of the mustard plant itself had really favorable traits. And so what they did is they specifically combined certain mustard plants with other mustard plants to grow that specific trait. Okay, so let's look at an example of this. So here is the wild mustard plant. Okay, so let's pick one that we know what it is. Let's say broccoli. Okay, We know what broccoli is. Some of you may like it. I love broccoli. So broccoli, it says the modified trait is flowered buds and stems. So if you look right here, it came from the buds and the stems of the mustard plant. So they would find these mustard plants that had a lot of these, sorry, all my dogs, the buds and the stems, and they would specifically combine those two plants together, and then it would allow this particular trait to be more predominant. They did the same thing with Brussels sprouts, with cabbage, with cauliflower. Now, obviously, this took many generations of growing the plant, but this is a type of evolution. Now, this is human-enhanced evolution because we're breeding for specific traits, okay? But it leads to a variety of species. So this mustard plant, we say, was bred for more favorable traits. Sorry, y'all, I'm at home, so you're going to hear my dogs barking. Thankfully, my kids are in bed right now. All right. Now, one of the big questions that we have to ponder is what contributes to mass extinction? Now, when I say mass extinction, most of you guys are going to think, oh, the dinosaurs, they went extinct because of a meteor. Yes, that's true. And that's probably the most well-known extinction. But the Earth has had several different extinction events over its 4 billion year history. The Ice Age can be considered one. That's the latest one, okay? But there have been several, and we know this because of fossil evidence, all right? So, what are factors that would cause a massive decrease in biodiversity, which would be an extinction event, okay? A mass extinction is going to cause new directions in evolution. Obviously, because basically life has to start over in some events, okay? And because it has to start over and we have all of these remaining species that sometimes might have to interbreed if they're able to, it can lead to an increase in biodiversity. Okay, so you would have an initial drop in biodiversity, and then the remaining organisms that are left have to repopulate, which would then cause basically an explosion of different types of life. Okay, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to pick 3 of these contributions to memorize for the IB test. So I don't care which 3 you pick. You can pick the easiest ones. You can pick the ones that you think are the coolest, the ones that sound awesome. It doesn't matter to me. Pick 3. So what contributes to mass extinction? Well, climate change. We know that climate change right now is causing a mass extinction event. Right now. We are currently living through what we're calling the Anthropocene extinction event, meaning it's human caused. So climate change, ocean acidification, air temperature, all of these things are basically interrelated into climate change. A meteor impact, yes, that was the dinosaurs. Okay, volcanism, massive volcano eruptions can cause mass extinction. Sea levels rise, obviously that's connected to climate change too. Water oxygen levels, if there's not enough oxygen in the water, then the plant life and the animal life that are there are going to die. And atmospheric circulation, so this is going to be weather patterns. Okay, pick 3 of these to memorize. So, you know, if I was going to take the test, I would remember climate, a meteor impact, and volcanoes. But you pick which 3, doesn't matter to me. Okay, all right, so let's go down to the next page. Okay, when you guys were freshmen, you learned all about natural selection. Now, you may not remember that's what it's called, but hopefully you remember a guy named Charles Darwin. who got credit for coming up with the theory of evolution, even though it was around a long time before he was. So basically, these are the steps that happen in natural selection. So you have overproduction, so there's way more babies born that will survive. And that's because, obviously, there's predators, there's disease, there's lack of resources, okay? So overproduction. Variation. So the individuals that have the most favorable traits will survive, okay? They will pass those traits on to their offspring, okay? And then slowly over time, it's going to cause this population to be better adapted to the environment. That's natural selection. Okay, now, genetic drift is a concept that also causes evolution. And there's two big types of genetic drift that you guys need to know. So I'm going to put right here, leads to evolution. Now, the bottleneck event and the founder effect, there are two really great examples to help you guys understand the difference between these two. Okay, so if you look at the picture showing the bottleneck effect, you can see right here that we have a massive original population. And there are 3 different genes in this population: blue, white, and yellow. Now, right here at a bottleneck event, we're having some type of mass extinction. Okay, so basically only those who can fit out of the initial first pour of the bottle are the ones that are going to survive. So you can see right here, we have eliminated the yellow gene. There is no yellow gene. It is completely wiped out from that species. So what we've done now is we have automatically, I'm going to scoot down here a little bit. We have automatically decreased genetic variation. So basically, we have caused this population not to be as healthy. So the great example of this are cheetahs, because cheetahs right now are going through a bottleneck event. They are basically being hunted to death through illegal hunting, which we call poaching. They're poached for their coat. It will get a lot of money on the black market. So basically, all of these cheetahs are mating with their first cousins. That's where the population is right now. All right. Okay, the founder effect. This is when you have a few individuals from the mainland colonize a new location. Does that sound familiar at all? We just celebrated Thanksgiving, y'all. So we're talking about the Pilgrims here. Mainland, colonize a new location. Okay. So, when you have a very large population right here that has a lot of variation, and you slowly move across time, what have you seen happen? Okay, you see the genetic variation lessen. So we're decreasing genetic variation, which is not good because it also allows recessive traits to reappear, and recessive traits aren't necessarily bad, but sometimes they can lead to disease. So you want to have a lot of genetic variation in your population to keep it healthy. All right. I'm going to pause the video here so that we can continue on in our discussion.